Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our live weekly Q&A. Tonight we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Scott Wilson from Wilson's Working Dogs.
Scott will be picking who he thinks has asked the best question of the night, and they'll win a bag of Enduro high-energy food for working dogs with real kangaroo meat.
Hey Scott, how are you going?
Good, guys. How's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, thanks, mate. Big day today.
Yeah, big day, big couple of days ahead. So we're just mustering cows, getting ready for preg testing, and we start weaning on Thursday. So yeah.
Cool, mate. I know you've had a big day, so thanks for giving us your time tonight.
No, thanks for having us on.
So jump off into it. Do you want to tell us?
We're jumping off already. Yeah, that was a quick one. Good night, sign off.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah.
You can tell I've had a big day as well. Not physical work, just laptop work. But do you want to tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what led you to where you are today?
Yeah, righto. So I grew up in a small town west of St. George, Queensland, called Bollen. It's a small shearing community there. There was a lot of sheep, merino sheep in them days around then. I started school in Bollen, and then my parents moved to St. George, which is 100 kilometres to the east. So spent the rest of our schooling days there, and for a little bit there, we went north for a year or so, then come back to St. George. So we've always been around the St. George Blonde Shire district, and family's all been on the land our whole lives. So my grandfather, he managed country out of Bollen, and my father worked around St. George and that on the land as well, until the droughts hit, and then Dad sort of had to go and find other things to do, and being around the livestock industry for quite a while.
Runs in the roots, mate.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know. Sort of when I left school and went into the work life, I didn't really know I was going to end up, managing country myself. I sort of left everything on the open, went and tried a few different things to see what I really liked. Yeah, the land always drew me back. So that's just where we are. That's our passion and our love. So, you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah.
So they say.
That's it. Did you try anything that you've work-wise that you can turn your hand to and you found useful in your day-to-day living now?
Yeah, so I tried boiler making. I was doing boiler making for the first, I was doing a traineeship at school. Like we did 2 days a week there, and then and weekends and that. And I enjoyed it, but I sort of knew it wasn't for me at the same time. And then I tried machinery operating for a couple of years there, just driving trucks and whatnot, and that sort of didn't float my boat either. So she was waited for that right opportunity to come around and went back onto the land, and that was about 10 years ago. We went back onto the land. Yeah. So, and then that was for Rob and Sally Hemming there at Durham Bandy. They had a backgrounding and feedlot there and a bit of dryland farming. So that's where my drive for running or, trying to work my way into a management role really pushed me from there on in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And being able to use a digger and do a bit of welding, mate, it's always good to have on the resume for the direction you've gone in as well.
Oh, for sure. Like you never realise how much you could use them machines out on the land. Whether it's just desilting dams and stuff like that. Like we can do it all ourselves out here. So it's definitely come in handy, you know, like just not being tied down to one particular thing and just going out and had a go at everything, and you know, I tried to make the most of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, you want to tell us a bit about the place you're managing now?
Yeah, so I manage the livestock side of things for the Willis family at Thallon. They've got country at Mitchell, and then Thallon, and then down here on the New South Wales Queensland border at Muggendorf.
Yep.
So he bought that 3 years ago, and we've come on to run the livestock side of things for him. And yeah, it's a mixed livestock enterprise. We've got sheep, cattle, and goats. Cattle being our main focus, primary focus. We've got a pretty good lot of Angus cows here at the moment, and we're up to 1,000 head of breeders this year. And then so the family was really big into merino, into the wool sheep, and since Ed's taken over, Ed's sort of just shearers and whatnot are just hard to come by, and you know, a whole bunch of different things that just led us to get out of the merinos and step into the meat sheep, into the Dorpers. So yeah, we're building that herd as we speak, and it's getting bigger, and yeah, it's getting
a little
bigger
bit
and
hardier,
better.
a little less maintenance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just you know, it's just where I am, there's no shearing shed. So the first 2 years that I was here, I was walking merino sheep 22 kilometres away just to get them shorn and crutched.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we've just gone to the merino, the Dorpers, sorry, and it's I actually prefer working with Dorpers, to be honest. Yeah.
Why is that?
Smaller goats.
Oh, they're just to put it bluntly, they're not as sooky as merinos out here. Yeah. Like you go to pick up a mob of Dorpers and they want to walk.
Yep. Not picking them up.
Merinos tend to be laying down and sulking, and it's a lot easier. Yeah, just from my point of view, because being able to get people to help you is the biggest thing out here. And I've had one fellow work for me here for a little while, and it didn't sort of work out for him. I don't know whether it was too far out of town or whatnot, but you know, I was thankful for the time that he was here, and then I've been here for quite a while on my own, and then I reached out to my boss a few months ago. I said, I really need someone here, and he said, I'm struggling to find people. I said, my father's actually semi-retired. He'd be interested in coming out here, so I've actually got Dad working for me now, so that's good.
You get to tell him what to do these days.
Yeah. Putting his shoes on the other foot now. Yeah.
Man, I actually wanted to touch on that just there. Like, obviously, you know, the old boy was off the land. His old boy off the land. Did you have any external influences that inspired you to be on the land as well?
Yeah, like we grew up, we were big horse people and camp grafters and that. You know, like there was, you know, a few other fellows around that I looked up to and that, and just, you know, like they're always good at what they've done, and I've always strived to be pretty, like, as good as what I can be at what I'm doing.
Yep.
So yeah, no, there was other people there that pushed me, that kept me going for the land. Yeah. But none more than what my father has done, like growing up watching Dad on horses and working dogs and stuff. Like I knew the hook was in pretty deep at a young age. I sort of just didn't really know it at the time, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about that at a young age, you got a couple of whippersnippers of your own, mate.
Yeah, we got two, Gracie and Bo, and yeah, they really love it out here. Like, Gracie's going on 4, and Bo's just turned 2 not so long ago in January. And Bo's already riding a 4-wheeler around, like my big bike. Like, he gets on there and he can operate it all. So, bar she's a manual, so I've got to pump the gears for him. But yeah, he's I think he's gonna follow in my footsteps and my dad's footsteps. He just loves it. Like I go to work and he's screaming to come with me. So yeah,
No, that's awesome.
yeah.
So you mentioned the horses there. Do you still do much with the horses?
Oh, not as much now. I've still got one horse here, but I generally try and keep a couple around just for weaning time and that.
Yep.
Yeah, just tailing weaners out and etc. It's just people down this way. Then it's all about being time efficient now, and unfortunately, that's just the way the industry's going. It's more motorbikes, and the horses are fading out, which I actually preferred doing all my mustering on horseback. It's just you're connected to the land and the stock at the same time, and I just find you got better dogs when you're doing all your horse work, and and your livestock's a hell of a lot better too, I believe.
Yeah.
I was actually just going to ask that,
same.
mate. Do you want to talk a bit through that last comment you made about the livestock being better working on horse?
Why do you find that?
It's just slower. Like you're going at their pace, and on a motorbike, like I see it a lot nowadays. When you get some hired help in, they just want to get in and get the job done. And on a motorbike, there's a throttle there. But you can make a horse go too. But when the boys are roaring around on motorbikes and stirring your cattle up all the time, I just find it upsets your herd too much.
Yeah.
And it's been a big struggle with me just to try and get people just to slow down and think about it and just, we'll just poke along. But, yeah, at least on a horse, like you're going at their speed and you're not really ramming them up the bum with bloody quad bikes or anything like that when, it's just you're the cattle and the dogs doing all the work. Yeah.
You have to go around governing some bikes, mate, making them stick in a second.
Oh, yeah, we've been trying to do that, but haven't figured out how to do it properly yet.
And you mentioned earlier, like swapping to a Dorper Enterprise away from Merinos. Did you have to adjust anything like your stock handling when that came about?
Oh, probably did, but didn't notice it, to be honest. Like, it's just they're a bit faster than a Merino, so it's just probably working from a bit more distance, giving them a bit more, like, not as on your stock as what you would be with Merinos. Yeah. And the dogs sort of took a little bit to adjust to them because they do move off you. Dogs a hell of a lot more, and I've found like just running less dogs on Dorpers, and like when I had Merinos, you had a few dogs there because they're just so slow, so to speak, and the dogs are there always keep along. But like we've got our main mob of Dorper users is only 2,200, and we can do that with 2 dogs. So yeah.
And you find doing it with 2 dogs is or one a little bit easier for you, but a little bit easier on the sheep as well, rather than have a couple more buzzing around.
Yeah, having the right dog there is the biggest thing too. The one that respects their small stock a lot, and just find Dorpers like their space a bit more. Like they're happy to go. Like once you wake them up and start moving them, they're happy to go where you want them to go. But I found they just like the bit of room to breathe, so to speak, to keep them to move on. Yeah.
Yep.
And what about you seem quite passionate about low stock handling, low stress stock handling, and that. What's the importance of that to you?
Oh, everything's important. Like the whole thing, like just being able to muster a paddock on your own. And then your cattle aren't running and trotting and running the weight off them. They're gaining weight all the time. Like it's just we've got it. So we've got another block there that we're slowly trying to get it under control, and the cattle up there just it's taken us quite a few years to get them back under control. You go up there, you need 4 fellas to muster up there with you, and then down here, 2's sort of a crowd. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just just quiet cattle makes my bloody mind a hell of a lot easier. I can play along and not concentrate on what I'm doing really. Like you just having your cattle going places and knowing what's happening. Like when we're there, we're there to do something, and they're respecting of you and they want to go with you. So it's makes my life a lot easier.
No, absolutely, mate. And you're doing the weaner breaking yourself as well?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, so I do all of them. I've got 1,000 head to do this year, and so I'm looking forward to that. And we've actually got. So last year I did a Frank Wright school. Frank's from Tambo, and he came down to Beverly, and I've never really done one of them before. You know, I've always just learned off Dad and my grandfather, and the outcome's always the same. Like I found, like the way my parents, grandparents, and my father taught me to break cattle in, we end up with the same result. But when I went to Frank with an open mind and just learned different ways, and it actually, I think Frank helped speed up the process a lot more. To get the cattle out on the grass and putting the weight on quicker. So, yeah, since doing Frank's, it's been, this lot of weaning will be the first time since doing Frank's school. And then we've actually got Frank coming here in 2 weeks' time to run another one. So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of what Frank did, and I used it as a bit of strategically to get a few of these other fellas that work for us to sort of get on the same page as what I'm trying to achieve with our stock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And what does that program look like? Like your breaking, educating program?
It's just a lot of footwork, really, like a lot of groundwork, a lot of pressure and release stuff, and then we did very little with the dog. Like the way Frank trains them, there wasn't a hell of a lot of dog work there until like towards the end of the day. Most of the day, it's just getting the cattle to trust and sort of form a bond with them and just let them know that you're not there. You're not gonna, you're not there to cause dramas with them. You're there to get along with them, so to speak. So he did a fair bit different to what I used to do it. We used to go straight in with the dogs, and Frank's footwork actually changed my whole mindset of just even how I work in the yards. I'm very fortunate that I went and did Frank's school. Yeah.
And if you got 1,000 head there, how big of groups are you educating in each mob? How you're obviously breaking that up?
Yeah, so I've got 300 here at home, and then there's 300 at our Thallon block, and then there's 450 at the other block at the third place. So I just do them, then try and keep them in their own groups. Yeah. So I do, for the first few days, I'm running between here and in the other block, the second block. So I'll start here at home, and then once I've finished here, I'll go and redo the process at the next block. Yeah.
Yeah.
At their yards and just keep them in smaller mobs. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you reckon there'd be any benefit to weaning, like educating lambs after they're weaned? Obviously dealing with both.
Yeah, so we educate our lambs, but it's a lot different. It's not. I don't do any yard work for our lambs. I just when I wean our lambs, I put them in a secured paddock, plenty of water, and then I'll 2 or 3 times a week I'll just go out and pick up that same mob of lambs, get them in a mob, and move them from one point of the water one water point to the next water point,
Yep.
and just get them used to being mobbed up and walking and going somewhere, and then
Yep.
maybe if I'm close by the yard, see, because it's a bit hard, like just if you got to walk them 5 or 6 kilometres back to the yards and run them for the yards and walk them back there, it's a pretty big day. So if the yards are there, I'll run them around the yards a few times.
Yep.
Just through the race, in coming in and in going out, so they know when they come around and come into the race that they're free flowing and they know they're going to go straight back out again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't do a lot of that with the lambs, not as much as I'd like to, but I do more of just picking lambs up and walking them from one water point to the next water point, and then that's it. Just get them used to being mobbed up so that when you go out in the paddock, they're not going 100 different directions, especially Dorpers.
Mm-hmm.
They like to, uneducated Dorpers, they'll hit bloody and go every different direction on you some days. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone came up to me once ago, oh, what kind of fence do I need to keep Dorpers in? So if you can go to it with a bucket of water and throw it through at the fence and the water goes on the other side, Dorpers will find a way through it.
Yeah. I've been using that same line for years now. Yeah.
Do you have a kind of like a duration, like with your weaner breaking cattle and your lambs? Like, what kind of period do you like to do it over? Like, I know you mentioned a couple of days, like in the first few days doing different stuff, but over what kind of duration would you do it? A couple of weeks?
Yeah, no. So, go back a few years ago, if it took 2 weeks, it took 2 weeks. But we're starting to realise that cattle just spend too long in the yards, and they could be out grazing and putting more weight on. They're getting fed in the yards and that, but they're not as happy as what they are out in the paddock. So nowadays, I'm trying to get cattle out by the second day. Try to get them out and tailing them around in the paddock, and then it's nothing for me to just to tail them around for another 2 or 3 more days, and then just bring them into the yards, lock them up overnight, and then first thing daylight next morning, straight out again, and just tailing around the paddock and just
Sounds like some pretty relaxing work at times, mate.
Yeah, it is pretty relaxing. Yeah, a lot of time on Facebook sometimes. Spending money when you're looking for dogs and stuff on Facebook. So yeah.
Here, mate. Speaking of dogs, mate, do you remember who and what breed or your first dog was?
Oh, now actually, I knew this. I knew I was going to get asked this question, and I got given a dog years ago. I can't remember how old I was. I can remember the dog, and my grandfather was down at Canamble, managing country down at Canamble at the time. And I ran this pup up for a little bit, and he came home one day. He goes, "Oh, gee, I really like that pup." And he says, "Can I buy him off you?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." And he goes, "How much you want for him?" I said, $50. And I was like a kid. And I thought $50 was a lot of money back then, and thought I was on cloud 9. So give me $50 for this pup. And he was he was a crossbred dog. He had a bit of cattle dog in him, but he like a bit of collie cattle, maybe a bit of boxer in him, like a half rougher type dog. There was a lot of them back around when I was growing up. Yeah.
Yep.
So he was my first one that I ever owned. Not that I owned him for too long, but he went on to be a pretty handy dog for my grandfather, and unfortunately, bloody bull struck him in the head and killed him. Yeah. So he wasn't a bad dog, so I never seen him work. But my grandfather, well, he must have really liked him because he hid it from me for a fair few years. He told me, I went down there one time and I said, "Oh, where's that dog?" I can't remember. I think it was Jack. I said, "Where's Jack?" And he goes, "Oh, Uncle Paul's got him." My uncle, the other uncle, he also worked the land as well, so he always made up an excuse why he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Took me a while to click on what happened.
Didn't have the heart to let you down.
Nah.
How about these days? What's your type or style of dog you go for?
Yeah, so I like I like a dog with a decent bit of leg about it. Bigger type dog. I don't like them smaller set dogs. I've sort of got a couple smaller dogs in my team still, but everything else is there. So I try not to be too fussy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I like a dog with a bit of feel for stock too. Good casting, good strong nose bite. I like my nose bite. I don't like any bark. Yeah, so I'm slowly getting to where I want to be with what I've been breeding. I've got a few pups there I've bred that have got plenty of leg about them, and they look the part and stuff, and they actually they're pretty. Well, they suit me. That's all they need to do is they suit me for what we're doing. Yeah. So
Do you want to tell us a bit about that current team of yours, mate?
yeah. So current team is a few outside dogs there I've brought in as pups over the years. So one of my main dogs would come from Trevor Turner at Dalby, Gravity Cowboy.
Yep.
He's by Cardoon Sky by Brutonvale Flat that Stephen Flatley bred. He's just a good, honest all-rounder. He can do it all pretty much. You can put him on goats, sheep, and cattle, and he'll be there till the gate shut at the yards. Nice big casting type of dog, and just got a head on him like you could be mustering in timber and lose sight of him, and you'd be swearing and cursing, like wondering where he is when you think you need him, and then look over your shoulder and he's actually bringing more cattle in. I haven't got another one like him that thinks for himself as much as what he does. Yeah. And then so he's one of my main dogs, and then my main bitch that I've been breeding from, and probably one of the best bitches I had come from Dave Steele up at Mara there, Coolway Lace. She's been a very important role. Just she's an awesome work bitch, but she can put a good pup on the ground as well. So
yeah,
and pretty much everything I've got is almost back to her now. I've bred her 3 times, and I've got 5, 7 pups here by now. So like dogs, from grown dogs to young pups. So yeah, so that's her. Then I've got Tex. I bred Tex, and he's out of Coolway Lace by a dog called Yarrawonga Trip that's got Fig spread at Wingallen.
Yeah.
He's everything I want the dog. He's leggy, he's big, he's got nice square head. He's got the big cast. He's lacks a little bit on the walk up, but he's got plenty of front end like nose bite. So yeah, he's almost the perfect package for me. Yeah, and so I've got him, and then I've got Tess, and I've got Tess's by Lace out of Trip again, and then I've got a Cowboy dog pup there out of a bitch I had off Gavin Carr there for a while, which I no longer have. I've given her to people at Gundawindi to use now. So yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about that bit of noise there, mate. The sausage
right.
dog, Malamara, and the German Shepherd were having a party. It was an absolute ruckus, so I had to go close the door. So I apologise for that. Mate, and so a lot of collies there, mate. The team's all collies, is it?
Yeah, all collies.
Yep.
I'm not dog racist by any means, but when I first got back into the dogs, like when I first started my own team up, 9 years ago, I actually had all black and tans Kelpies back then.
Yeah.
And I just didn't get along with a lot of them. Like, I was yelling and screaming too much at them. And then I ended up, my brother-in-law give me a collie bitch, and then he found me another collie cross Kelpie bitch. And I got along really well with those two. Never had to speak to them, and they just went about their job and knew what they were doing. And then that was the turning point for me. Like, that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be talking and screaming at a dog all day. I just wanted to get out there and put dogs on stock and go, and just knew, they knew what they were doing, and I didn't have to speak to them. So
radio. So,
yeah.
are you liking a team of similar dogs, or do you like to have like dogs with a few different sort of work styles and abilities?
Yeah, definitely a few different abilities. Most of my dogs are pretty quiet. Like, they're not rough, like pulling ears off cattle and etc. But I've got a young dog coming through that's starting to be a little bit rough like that, and I'm liking having him around just for that bit of spark when you need him. But not normally, I just like a dog that respects their stock, a bit of feel and a bit of eye, and yeah. So I like a lot of the dogs the same, and I'm sort of starting to like just having that one little different dog, one or two different dogs in there, just to add something to your team.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is there anything you're looking at putting back into your own line, or are you happy with the way they're going?
No. I was really happy with the way things are going with that yellow dog I had, Trip, and then unfortunately I lost Trip a few months ago. So pretty, like, I'd say 75% of my dogs here are by Trip, and I was I really got along with them dogs. They started well and they finished off well. They mightn't have been everyone's cup of tea, but when you can go do a job with them at 12 months old, I think, that's probably saying something for me. Like, they're just good practical work dogs, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how I can line breed Trip back in eventually, because I made a rookie mistake and I never got him collected. So,
oh, really?
Nah, it was always on the agenda, but we're just a little bit remote, so takes a bit just to organise and go and do that sort of stuff. And I probably was a little bit just too relaxed about it, yeah. And now he's gone. I really regret it. But in saying that, I've got Tex there, which is my Trip, and he's probably, the way he's coming on, I think he's going to be just that tad bit better than his father. So, like, that's saying something. The Trip as a sire for me, like, that he's added, like, his pups are just a little bit better than him. Yeah.
Well, that probably answers one of my next question is, mate, who or what was your most influential dog?
Yeah, it would have been Trip for sure. Yeah. Trip was the first dog that challenged me training him, and to get him to where he was at, like, to a finished product. I had a lot more respect for him after that. I've been a bit lucky in the past sort of 5 years to just get a lot of natural dogs that were pretty easy to train. Yeah. Still had a few there that didn't make it, but like Trip, I put a lot of man hours into that dog, and it's a bit of a hard pill to swallow, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that, mate.
Yeah.
I get that. Is there a dog that you've seen around at somebody else's own that you'd love to inherit?
Yeah, there's quite a few actually. So we've just sort of started to try and to try and do a few dog trials and stuff, and just do some other things. And seen some really nice dogs in the dog trialing area that I really liked. And there's a few pretty decent dogs getting about. One in, like, I probably wouldn't be able to name one in particular, but like I like it. There's a lot there to cherish on, that's for sure. I'd like to look at them a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, mate. And it's good that I love when people like seeing other people's dogs around. And, don't just hold our own dogs on a pedestal. Like, just go,
Nah.
there are other dogs around that I like. It's cool.
Yeah. I'm pretty hard on myself, so it took a fair bit of courage to go and do a dog trial, because I was just worried about not doing any good and whatnot. And but I actually really enjoyed the first trial we went to, like just seeing everyone's dogs. And there's a lot of good dogs out there nowadays. So it'll be good to see a few more of them, and just try and narrow down a few there that we could probably incorporate back into our stuff.
Yeah. And you mentioned you don't like bark on cattle a little while earlier. Why is that?
Probably my grandfather coming out of me, like when we were when we were mustering. He didn't like bark. He didn't like he didn't like his dogs letting what was in front of us know we're coming, so to speak. So I think it's just I just think like Pop's just had a fair influence on me, and I've sort of just hung off that a little bit. So I can understand, every now and then I'll hear a bark come out of one or two under extreme pressure, but they're not yapping all day. But I think I just can remember my grandfather saying, we don't like barking dogs. We don't like people like the stock to know we're coming and rah. So I sort of just always hung off that.
Yep. There's a question here from Karen Higgins. She said, working cattle and sheep, what does an all-rounder look like to you?
Oh, an all-rounder. One that, probably one that, like, knows when to get in and be strong. And then, you want that sort of a bit of not a softer type dog, but just a bit of a wider type dog. So I think one that can be a bit closer working on cattle, and then you go to sheep, and they can just feel the stock a bit more and get out and work with a little bit more distance and that.
Something that rates its
rates its stock. Rates its stock. I hate a dog that's tough on cattle and then bullies sheep, like when a sheep sits off, just knocks them over. I hate that. I really hate that. So, I like a dog that can just adjust to the job as it's going.
Yeah, cool, mate. And obviously you do a lot of tail. You mentioned tailing stock and whatnot, mate. Do you like natural cast in your dogs? Was that something that you want to develop yourself, or how do you go about that?
So I like a natural casting dog. One thing when I'm selecting a pup, especially when I breed my own, and then I've learned to keep big pups on a little bit longer to try and figure out which ones are going to suit me the best. And I find the ones that naturally go around, naturally just go around their stock, will end up having, they're generally a lot more natural, and they have that natural cast in them anyway. So I haven't had to train too much casting my dogs, to be honest.
Yeah. No, awesome. So there's just a question just come through from John Starr. So just got to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
He said, seeing you prefer silent dogs on cattle, do you need to bring out a bit of bark, having to work the Dorpers as well?
Nah, Dorpers move off the dogs very, very easily. As soon as the dog's
Yep.
coming behind the tail, like you can see the leg, like it's just like a domino effect where they're just moving the stock. Yeah, no bark on sheep. If the merino side of things was to hang around, I would prefer a barking dog on merinos, like a Kelpie or a Hunaway. Just I found, the collies probably just needed that bit of a bark on the merinos to just help get them along. But the Dorpers just move off the dogs so a hell of a lot more than merinos do.
And you mentioned earlier you don't have any yards. Oh, sorry, there wasn't a shearing shed on the property, wasn't it? What about when you're doing yard work with your Dorpers? You're using your collies there as well?
Just to pen up, but Dorpers actually
Flow.
they actually move off you really easily. Like
you
open a gate and you step back into the mob, or just turn around, walk back into the mob. They're taking that gate up and going to the next pen. They're a lot easier to handle than the merinos. Yeah.
Mick Hudson's been telling me that for years.
Oh no, like seriously, like we had fellas come in with yard dogs and off what I had, no worries, and having yard dogs in the yards with Dorpers, we're having too many casualties because
can appreciate that.
Yeah, so it was just too many casualties like doing that. So like because they move off you so easy, and then you got a dog racing into them and barking and carrying on, and they jump into the bloody rail, and then they do themselves over. It's sort of that.
Yep.
That was the point where I sort of thought, well, I don't really need yard dogs for Dorpers, so I just stick with the paddock dogs, and then we've always got one or two people helping us in the yard. So yeah.
Did you have to go and get any different dogs, or did you notice a change in the way your dogs started to respond to the different sheep?
No, just I was just lucky enough. Like our dogs just figured it out. Doesn't just happen overnight. Sorry, Laura.
Oh, it's all right. I was just going to say, walking them 22 kilometres, they'd soon figure out how to work that mob.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, geez. So we had doing that walk, we had to box all the sheep up and then draft all the sheep back up at the shearing shed and then walk 3 mobs home. So,
yeah.
They soon worked out how to work those Dorpers.
A bit of sore feet fixes everything, right?
Yeah. The tiger pen is pretty bad down here, and I tell you, it was good to take young dogs on. They'll be fit and raring to go, and then by the end of the walk, they soon appreciated you trying to slow them down a bit. Yeah.
Do you believe handling different types of stock and with your dogs makes you better, not just a better stockman, but a better dog handler?
Yeah, I suppose so. I've never looked at it like that. Like, sort of just, I think the fellas that really get stock, it just comes natural to them. And then it's like the dogs too. Like there's certain dogs at home here that I don't take on cheap because they're not made for it. Like they put too much pressure on and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's like but it definitely teaches you like how to read a dog a bit more, and how to sort of implement and put on, a bit more training on the certain few dogs that look like they can handle sheep a lot better than the rest of them. Yeah.
Very cool. And earlier, mate, you mentioned about breeding a few pups yourself, and you mentioned about you had a dog there, Trip, that leaves a good stamp on was breeding better dogs than himself. What about a bitch, mate? Does a bitch have to meet a certain criteria for yourself? I know you mentioned you had one there that I think you mentioned you got it from Dave Steele.
Yeah, so yeah, the bitch has got to have. She's got to be everything you want. I believe to breed it.
Yep.
She's got to have the car. She's got to have the strength, and she's just got to have the like
Attitude.
it's just got to be able, attitude. Like what's the word I'm looking for?
Temperament.
Temperament. That's it. Like she's just got to have it all. Like if they don't have it, if they've got a shit temperament, like I won't breed it at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just because we're to the cattle side of things here with the Angus cows and stuff, I'm sort of breeding more for the cattle side of things. But quite a few of lace pups can handle sheep, like because she's got that bit of UK in her too. So
Yep.
she's just got that bit of. Some of her pups are a bit wider than the others, and some are a bit like tighter working, a bit closer on their stock.
Yeah.
Do you find that particular bitch breeds you a nice? You mentioned temperament, but a good biddable pup as well.
Well, sorry, what was that?
Like, do you find that particular bitch? I think you said her name was Lace. She breeds you a good, like, trainable, biddable type of pup.
Yeah, so she can.
Yep.
Like Tex is really trainable, and then I've got a full little mate to her in Tess, and she doesn't like you training on her at all. She'd rather just go to work, and if you start talking to her too more, you're sort of shutting her down a little bit. Like she's probably not as strong a temperament sort of thing. I suppose she's a bit softer in the mind, and I don't know where she gets it from because Lace is pretty good, and then Trick, like you could yell at him all day if you really wanted to, and you wouldn't offend him, you know. So
yeah. I love those.
So they've been going two different ways, really. Yeah. So I'm getting really good, like Tex. I've taken Tex to a dog trial, our first dog trial,
Yep.
and we run a 94 with him on his first run, and then
congratulations.
I'd never run Tess. I'd never run Tess in a dog trial because she would just, if I started talking to her too much, she'd pack it out and go and sit on the outside of the arena. Yeah.
Let me get
she's
to the
just
job.
the top dog. Yeah, she's just top dog. Like you send them to work, and then you don't talk to them for the rest of the time you're out there. You just let them go. Yeah. So yeah, she like I don't know if it comes from triple Lace in that sense. Yeah.
And I suppose I was leading that way because I was going to ask, do you think that the bitch or the sire have more influence over a litter? Like, what have you seen in your pups?
Oh, sorry, I just missed that again.
I was leading that way because I was working in a question there. Like, do you find that the bitch or the sire kind of leave their stamp a bit more on a particular litter? Do you think they lean a bit more to the bitch or a bit more to the dog? Like, what have you seen in your own line?
I think they lead more to the bitch, to be honest. Yeah.
I see that in.
I see a lot more Lace's traits come out in her pups than I do like Trip. Yeah. So that's why I probably prefer to breed from a good solid bitch that's she's got the strength and she's got everything you want. So I think that's where I'm at with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there, mate. And that's why I think when you have a bitch like the one you got there, you don't come past them every day. So you look after them pretty well, mate. And try and get something decent out of them while you still have them.
That's it. Yeah, because I just I've got 5 little puppies here at the moment out of Lace by Tex. I joined Tex to Lace just before his accident happened, so I was pretty fortunate to get them ones. Yeah.
I was lucky.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Yeah. Question here from John Starr. He said, "Do you believe with breeding for cattle work that the bitch needs to be similar in strength to a real strong dog on cattle to throw good strong pups, or will you rely on the strength of the sire?"
No, I think the sire's got to be strong too to get that good strong cattle type dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I look for in a sire as well. It's got to be strong. And then like the traits that I look for is just good casting dogs and like archy dogs, dogs that aren't straight and direct. Or
Hold their shape.
Yeah, I like dogs that get around and have a bit of distance on a cast, and then come when they hit that point, then they come straight in. Like that's what I aim for when I'm looking for potential size or a bitch that I'm going to breed from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got one that works like here you might like, but is it the wrong colour for you?
You know, it's a bit hard. Like, where do you go? Like, where do you go now when you want to breed a dog? Because like most of my line goes back to Gavin's dog Zach.
Yep.
And then like these. Really, try and look outside the box a bit now. When especially after this lot of litter. Like what's next? I don't know. I've got to keep looking around. Yeah, whether you go the UK stuff, and I see a few fellas that are breeding the UK dogs for the bone structure and size. They put the size back in to the dogs. Yep. So that's sort of something I've got in the back of my mind. As long as they're practical work dogs too, like, and because I do like a dog that you don't really have to talk to it that much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, how do you go about picking a pup for yourself?
Well, yeah, I've tried everything, like everyone has. The best looking one, the ugliest looking one, the runt, and then the only way I've figured about getting what suits me is hold them on till they're till I can start them on sheep, and I generally just pick the pups that naturally go around their stock, and not go straight in. I don't know. I just find I get along a lot easier if dogs that just want to go around and herd stock to you. Yeah, because you can train them to do the other stuff later on. Yeah.
And do you have a particular age that you like to start your pups, mate?
Oh, around that 12 weeks, I'd always give them a look at some, quiet sheep or some lambs, at 12 weeks old and have a look and see what I've got. Yeah. And then, keep hanging on to them for a bit longer and, work for them a bit.
Yeah. And how much time do you put into your training?
Used to put a lot of time into them, to be honest. But then kids have come around and sort of time. So I've been finding myself doing a lot more training on the job now. I'm still getting the same results. It's probably just taken just a little bit longer. But yeah, so I used to do a lot of yard work, and then I sort of figured I was taking too much work out of them, and then I was trying to balance it out and figure out what was working and what wasn't working. And then I think the biggest thing that changed me with my training, like how I was going about my training, I actually had an accident there a bit over 12 months ago, and I had a fair few months off from training dogs, and then I had a few here that were in that real important stage where I needed to get them corrected and whatnot. And so I sort of, it took me a bit to figure it out, and then going into the paddock a lot more and watching their natural ability come out, just figuring it out a bit more that way. So
yeah.
And now, like you're using a bit, like obviously doing a bit more work, but have you got an ideal training setup? Like if you did go back to doing a bit more structured training?
A big square yard and four corners.
Why the corners?
Yeah, corners. Yeah, I used to be right onto this. Like I start the little puppy still in a smaller round yard, but as soon as I can sort of like when I can trust a dog to go in behind sheep and bring them out, I'll always put them in a corner and test them to get them out of the corner cleanly, not dirty. They've got to do it cleanly. Yeah, so I don't like a dog that races in and grabs them on the hock and to get them out of there. Like I'd rather them just put the head down and push their way around to bring them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just corners, it's just if you can just walk into a corner and then turn around and walk out. And if the dog's always picking them up cleanly, you're nearly ready to go outside and do a job with them. Like start doing a lot more practical work with them. Yeah.
And away from stock, mate, like how much time are you spending with your pups, and like are you interacting them with your little whippersnippers there, mate? While you can't train dogs, while you got the kids around, you're getting them around the pups and you're spending more time with them like that.
Yeah, so every afternoon we just go out and we have a beer with the dogs and we sit down, we feed them, and then we let the pups out and give them a pat and a play, and try and I think the better bond you have with them earlier on, you set them up for more success later on. Like they just want to be around you, so they want to please you, and yeah, it's pretty important for me. Like, and I take the kids out there with the puppies, and I let them handle them and do everything. They probably do more of the handling at a younger age than what I do, to be honest.
Yeah. We might have a different career path, mate, but it sounds like we have a lot of similarities with the way we do things, and particular that one there, mate. Like I love having a beer with a beer or a red tea, aka wine, with my dogs of an evening, and the kids get home from school, and we got a litter of pups there at the moment, a couple of days old, and kids are home from school and straight in there. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's it's like you just got to show them attention, and then they'll want to be there for you at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And you mentioned earlier that you like a bit of hard nose bite on cattle, like a good nose bite. Do you teach that on command as well?
No, not really. I think I rely on a lot of natural work in dogs, and I'll ask them to walk in, and that's about it. And if they're walking in and they're still walking in, and the beast is still sitting there, I expect them to give them a smack on the nose, and then then go about their work. Like I don't like a dog that keeps punishing it all the way into a mob. Like I like a dog just to bite and then get off and respect their stock and carry on. And yeah. So no, I don't teach them to bite and command. It just comes natural to them. Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned before you've been to a couple of trials.
Yeah, one. So we've done one in the last 12 months. That was Wallumbilla, and then 4 years ago we went to Kumbunji, and they had Ray White run the first dog trial there, dog sale there. They had like a bush handler there, so we just went and had a crack at it. We didn't do real good there. I was sort of a few young dogs that probably weren't ready for it, and whatnot. And then we went to Wallumbilla, I think it was August last year, roughly, off the top of my head. And look, we didn't break records, but I had fun, and that's the most important thing, is having fun.
Definitely.
And, I ended up winning the bush handler, so with Lace.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I was pretty chuffed about that. So I won the bush handler with Lace, and then running 93 and then 94. I think all I wanted to do was just get a couple of successful courses done. That's all I had expectations of going in there. Like our dogs do a lot of like that that was a lot of pressure for them. And that was one thing I noticed, that the dog trial, it puts a different pressure on your dogs too. And
Yep.
how they adapted to it, I was pretty happy with them. Yeah. So, like, obviously out of how, like, I've got 12 dogs here, I only took 4 to it. So, they're not all suited to do, but just a few there that I've got. We run a few schools, and that was good. Yeah, we retired. We retired a couple of times, and I'm not too ashamed to say we were retired. Like, it's just some things just don't go right, and you just got to quit while you're ahead, sort of thing. So yeah.
Was it enough to catch the bug, mate?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's something I want to pursue and just have a bit more fun with. Like, I just, being around so many like-minded people is the best thing, and watching other people's dogs run. Like, I really enjoy seeing other people's other people's success, and seeing good dogs too. So it was pretty. Yeah, probably opened up. My wife probably she's probably not looking forward to a bit of travelling, but we've got plans to go do a few more, and we've actually organised the very first one at St George this year, so that's on.
Awesome! That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we
I know.
went and did one and just jumped in the deep end and got another one cracking along. So yeah.
That's great, mate. And it's guys like yourself that you're passionate about something, you have a crack, and then you actually take time out of your personal life and busy life at that, especially with 2 young kids, and to host them, because otherwise they just don't go ahead, right?
Yeah, that's right. And to be honest, it hasn't taken that much to organise it. We're in a pretty good community here, and my wife actually, shout out to her. She's done pretty much all of it. She's done all the ringing around, and tracked down sponsorships, and the community's just been on board from day dot. Like, sponsorship is, we're pretty happy with the sponsorship we've received, and like, local people just wanting to help. Like, we've had Don Ponds transported in St George. They're just like, yeah, we'll cart your cattle for free. Where are they? And we're like, oh, we're 130 kilometres from town. She's all right, mate. We'll do it. We'll sort her out. Like, just
That's
unreal. Like, how much support we've got. So we're just hoping, we can do it justice on the weekend.
When's that, Scott?
25th and 26th of March it is. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Any of our listeners that listen out there, if you want to get on board at St George, you mentioned as well.
Yeah, that's right. St George Showgrounds.
There you go. Get on board. Support Scott's trial, or maybe Mrs. Wilson's trial. And get in contact with him and get out there and support the first trial in St George later in March. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. We're sponsoring the cattle from home, and like me boss Ed, he's also sponsored money to it, so he's been one of our biggest supporters of it. So
that's all right.
It's good. Like, you work for a fellow.
Double check your paycheck in a couple of weeks, mate. Make sure you didn't find out you're sponsoring it yourself.
Yeah, that's it. No, you'll be right there.
No, that's awesome. It's great for your employer to get on board as well.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
mate. We always hear the debates about trial dogs don't make work dogs, and here's a bloke that you're only just getting into the trial game and been working your whole life, mate. What are your takeaways from that?
Sorry, can you just repeat the first? But I'm just
no, that's all right. No, like, obviously being coming into trials like fairly new now, but been on the land your whole life, and we always hear the debates that trial dogs don't make real work dogs. What's your take on that?
Oh, I don't know. I saw a lot of dogs at the first trial that probably would have made really good work dogs as well. So yeah, I don't know.
It's got to be a bit open-minded.
I think there's a job. I think there's a job for every dog on the land. It's just I think the only thing that like them dogs that you got to talk to all the time, they probably wouldn't make as good as dogs on the land, I guess, compared
Yep.
to
Yep.
yeah, so to speak. Like I just know, like, and I'm not against them, but just dogs that you got to continuously tell them a direction all the time. Like I just don't like. I'd rather not have that on the land. Yeah, I'd rather just if that was what I had, I'd rather just leave it as a trial dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's fair enough. There's a question come in from Joe Levin. He's asked, how old are your young dogs when you take them to work on cows and calves?
Oh, I try and leave them to well after 12 months of age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just try and leave them to when they're a little bit more mature in the mind. Because if they cop a kick or, you know, a rough beating, their mind just might be able to get over it a bit quicker than what a younger mind would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Some pups, like I've got a young dog here at the moment. He's gone on a bit earlier. Like he's probably been on since he's 8 months old on cows and calves. But I wouldn't do it to every dog. Like he'd have to show me something to trust putting him on him. Yeah. But I'd rather leave them till after 12 months of age. Yeah. Just so they're a bit more sound in the mind, like a bit more mature in the mind. Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. What advice would you give to someone wanting to come into the ag industry?
Oh, don't be frightened to have a go. There's a lot more people in the industry willing to put their hand up and help you than you realise. So, just figure out, like, find someone that you think that you can learn a lot off and stick with them for a bit and ask a heap of questions and yeah, don't be frightened to make mistakes because we all make mistakes and we all learn from our mistakes and it's the only way to learn is make mistakes. So,
Yeah.
just get in and have a go.
Right. Awesome advice, mate. And is there anyone you'd like to see us have a chat with on Dog Talk?
Yeah, there's a few fellas down around this area, but there's an old fella that used to live at the back of my grandparents' place in Bolton there, Kevin Halliday. He was a big yard dog and street sheep trialer. His wife and that's on, and his daughter's on Facebook and that. Look, I haven't spoke to Kevin for years, and you probably have to make 3 of these just to get it all on one show, It's the knowledge that he would have, and Kevin Halliday would be one. Caleb Welly from KJ's Working Dogs there. He's just down the road at Strat. He's not far away. I've gotten to know Caleb a little bit since he's moved into our area, and he's doing good things with dogs. So it'd be good to hear his story too. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Awesome, mate. Thanks for that. We'll
yeah.
note those down and try and make some. We've got a massive list of people here we're trying to get through, so we'll add them to the list. That'd be great. Thank you.
That time of the night, has there been a question that stood out to you and they'll win a bag of Enduro, high energy food for working dogs, real kangaroo meat? That's normally your line.
I know. That's what I'm impressed that you got it out
though. The question there a bit earlier, I just can't. I didn't have the pen and paper to write it down, but he asked about going from cattle to sheep with your dogs. Is it?
That might have been. Was that about an all-rounder or?
Yeah, the all-rounder dog. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Karen Higgins.
That was Karen Higgins. There you go, Karen. There's a bag of Enduro
coming your way.
And Scott, there's also one coming your way for jumping on tonight, mate. We appreciate your time.
No worries, thank you.
That's all right. Mate, I'm not gonna let you go that easy. Don't worry about that.
One more question: would you, if you had to choose between fighting 20 horses the size of ducks or one duck the size of a horse, which would you take on and why?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I can't figure it out which one I'd do. And I reckon I'd probably just have to go the one duck the size of a horse or whatever it is. Yeah,
Yep. No, that's
It-
cool.
I like a bit of
No
a challenge.
right or wrong answer.
Yeah,
A lot more feathers.
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Now, mate, thank you very much for giving us your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
no, thank you for having me on.
No, fantastic. And to everyone that got on tonight and then listen to watch us live, thank you. And everyone listening back. And please remember, we learn every day, and the day we stop learning is a sad one for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.